What happened to the universally good movie? Yo, let me just. All right. So I did not watch the Golden Globes. To be honest, I haven't watched the Golden Globes or any award show probably like in the last 7 years or so. I think it's just for me. It's just like it's mostly like two things. Number one, social media covers everything. I mean, like winners, losers, red carpet looks. I'm pretty sure even when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, that wasn't even on television. We could only see that on Instagram Reels. So I mean, like social media just kind of covers all the bases for us in a way that we don't really have to go and watch these award shows unless we're really invested in them. Also, they suck. So we should also just mention that they're not very good anymore. Ratings have been down for award show seasons for like the past 10 years. So let's call a spade a spade. But I think the second reason is low key. It's mostly just become an event that's about the snubs more than it is the winners. Oh, my favorite so and so didn't win. Like this one should have won Best Picture. This is and like I have to preface, like I am completely a part of that group of people as well. Like justice for Stephanie Sue, who I believe should have won for Best Supporting Actress in the 2023 Oscars for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like, in no disrespect, I like some of the Jamie Lee Curtis movies, but I just feel as if you take that scene in the parking lot with Stephanie's character and Michelle's character, and then you just like compare it to like Salad Fingers. I don't know. I digress. Where was I? Where was I? Where was I? Oh yeah. Why don't I watch award shows? The second reason is yeah, the snubs. I mean, like it's just all about that. Like, and I just think at this point in my life, I'm not really particularly interested in discourse about what should have won, especially since in my always right, ever knowing opinion, I just feel like most of the time they get it wrong. But I feel like this particular year, because of the fact that I went to the movies more than I ever have, I probably went to the movies. I'm gonna say the number, and then it's not gonna be that much, but probably like 8 times last year in 2024. So that's probably not that much, but that's almost like once a month. So way more than I've ever gone in my entire life. So I am uncharacteristically, particularly invested in the outcome of this award season because I have some horses in the race. So yeah. Obviously not invested enough though to watch the Golden Globes. Maybe we'll do the Oscars. Who knows? A lot of movies that are getting award buzz this season on Nora. Like I don't have to go through them. You know them. Like on the screen somewhere. Anyways, but one particular movie has been catching my attention because of its award buzz versus its we'll say public perception or opinion, and that's Amelia Perez. Some of you might have heard of it. So Amelia Perez at the Golden Globes won Best Picture for Best Motion Picture, Comedy, or Musical at the Golden Globes over fan favorites Wicked, Anora. Most of them went over. Oh my god. Oh my god. And Challengers. Holy shit, Challengers. That was such a so yo, excuse my language. It's a great movie. And this has a lot of people talking. A lot of people talking because this movie may be particularly problematic in certain ways. I'm not going to spend this whole video talking about the ways that this particular movie is problematic. What I am going to do is link you to another creator who created an awesome video talking about Emilia Perez and its issues and why this is just a weird kind of darling favorite of the critics right now. And I know you're going to say, oh, like, how are you going to say that? Like, you haven't seen it. Like, you don't need to smell to know it stinks. You know what I mean? It's just to be honest. Anyways, so check that out. My thing is, and no disrespect, but who even saw this movie? I've literally never heard of this movie before after until the past like maybe 3 weeks or so. I just don't know where this movie came from and I don't know who saw it. And I know understand and I do understand that who sees a movie and who doesn't see a movie isn't necessarily the biggest determination of if a movie has quality or not. And just because I haven't seen it or I haven't heard of it doesn't mean that it's not good, doesn't mean that it doesn't need to be awarded. 100%, I agree. I hear that 100%. But in that, I've begun to notice something in particular. What happened to the universally good movie? Like the movie that everyone likes, the public and the critics and their opinions intersection. I feel like we used to have way more of these type of movies, like, and we just don't have them anymore. And I just don't understand really why. I feel like nowadays all we have is like for at least for award consideration is like super low budget or indie or A24, no diss or Neon, no diss to these smaller studios. I actually really like their movies, but indie sleaze films where the topic of conversation is something that we can't talk about at the dinner table with an auteur director style and I don't know, gratuitous nudity or violence. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with those type of movies. I like some of those type of movies for sure, but I do feel as if like we've come away from this point where the movies that we see in the award season we recognize, and I just wonder about that and what it means. I guess what I'm trying to say is it just feels like movies these days are either too popular to be considered for award season or are so unknown that none of us have seen these movies except the critics, and they're winning best pictures, best actors, actresses, whatever you name it, cinematographers, whatever, rah. And I feel like that's kind of something I don't recognize, something I don't really particularly like, for a couple of reasons, and we'll get into it. I also do want to say I am criticizing like the indie movies a little bit, but at the same time, like I really love them. One of my favorite films of all time is a movie called Drive, starring Ryan Gosling, directed by Nicholas Winding Refn. Sorry to Mr. Nicholas. A movie where the main character quite literally probably has like 60 lines of dialogue, like the unique lines of dialogue. The movie is just vibes incarnate. So I have nothing against an indie movie at all, but I do feel like there's something to be said about a movie that is being touted, whatever, as one of the best movies this year, but no one is even able to see it. I'm not going to say names. But it just feels a bit strange, and I don't know how I feel about it. Yes, I do. Like, I do feel like it's super important to make movies on these particular subjects, things that we don't really get to talk about very often because of their subject matter, and things that can't be kind of shown to the wider audiences. Films like Anora this year, which are definitely themes that you can't necessarily get a $200 million budget for. But at the same time, I do feel like there is a sense of pretentiousness about these kinds of movies and the access that the public has to them versus the critics. And when the award seasons roll around and we have a bunch of movies that no one has seen, people are saying, and the critics are saying, that these are the best movies of the year. It just leaves a lot of people, myself included, with their heads kind of scratching like, what's going on here, you know? When I think of classic movies from the past decades, nearly all of them were at least financially successful moderately, while also appealing to the public and the critics alike. There was a clear intersection between tastes. Forrest Gump, a movie that made nearly $700 million at the global box office, won 6 Academy Awards in the 1995 ceremony, including Best Picture. The following year, Braveheart, $200 million grossing film, won Best Picture the following year after that. The year after that, in 1997, Titanic. Need I say more? Yes, and I will. All Best Picture winners. Gladiator, $450 million at the global box office. Million Dollar Baby, $230 million at the global box office. The Departed, $290 million at the global box office. It's fucking 3 hours, my God. Fuck it. Slumdog Millionaire, $380 at the global box office. The Trump Card, The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, a whopping $1.1 billion at the global box office. No re-releases. This is not after adjusted for inflation. This is real time 2003. And a record sweep of 11 Academy Awards at the 2003 ceremony. In my opinion, this is the last great intersection between the public's taste and the critics' taste, lining up perfectly. Since then, we've kind of had this rise of this genre of movie that a lot of people have called Oscar bait. Movies that seem to kind of pander towards what they believe critics and Oscar voters and Golden Globe voters want to see in their films, while failing to kind of connect with the wider audiences in terms of their themes and subject matter. And I'll say, like, some of these films I don't necessarily think are bad, but I do feel like they are a bit disingenuous. Stories that are meant to be saying the right thing, but kind of fall short in connecting with wider audiences. I don't believe filmmaking should be targeted towards any group. There is a great quote by Rick Rubin, which says, "The best way to serve your audience is to ignore them," which I think is a great quote. I feel like the people will recognize which films are made with love and passion and deliver their messaging in an earnest and creative way. And there used to be a time where the critics would also see that, and that intersection was very clear, and it was very, I felt like there was a lot more synergy, a lot less division in terms of what the public thinks and what the critics think. So wrapping things up. As of this video being recorded, the 2025 Oscars have not happened yet. I have a fear that even though I feel like this is one of the best years of cinema that we've had in a really long time, 2024, largely the opinion of the public will be ignored in favor of a select and specific group of people representing the choices of cinema this year that really don't really align with anything that the public really thinks. Hi guys, quick editor's note here. I just wanted to throw up this graphic that Letterboxd put on their Instagram, basically breaking down how the Oscar nominee films would rank based on their Letterboxd ranking and reviews, which I think really just clearly shows the disconnect between what audiences feel like is the best film this year and what the critics do. So yeah, just crazy. All right, back to the video. And I just wonder why this has happened exactly. We can probably get into it, but some things to consider are maybe the rise in inequality between the classes, the Hollywood elites versus just the general public. That gap is widening. The economy is not great. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's just the idea that whenever things swing in a violent direction one way, they have to swing back the other way. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but let me know your thoughts. What do you think? Why do you think that movies aren't universally loved and praised like they used to be? Why do you feel like there's such a difference between a commercial success versus a critical darling? You know what? Let me know your favorite. Let me know. Let me know your favorite movie that you've ever seen in theaters. I would love to know. Leave a comment. I guess like, subscribe, whatever. I'm really thankful that you've been watched this far. I really appreciate it. Just kind of getting my sea legs. Hopefully soon will be a lot better and more accustomed to kind of the things. But yeah, overall, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. At the end of the day, you know that I'm real. So this is me. This is it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you. Why aren't why aren't we're having a moment. We're having Why aren't universally what?